Hello, everyone. This is April. I know, long time no here. It's been a few weeks, but I want to welcome you to a new episode of My Solo Chronicles. You guys, it has been very, very busy since I've come home to Michigan before I go to Japan. I've had so much stuff to do, and I was just overwhelmed with just trying to get things together before March 15th, which is when I leave for Japan, and it has been a whirlwind. I'm not even going to go into detail about just trying to get everything for my visa. Whew, oh my goodness, I am so glad I won't have to deal with that for another year because it was interesting. But anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys about my I say this is kind of like my final activity before I actually leave the country, and I have been trying to do this forever, and I finally got a chance to go to the Michigan Central train station, which is in the heart of Detroit. It's been a staple of Detroit for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Detroit, as most people know, and this huge building at one point was very, very abandoned. But to see it come back to life, and before I go any further, I have to give so much kudos to the Ford company. And that is, of course, everybody know who Ford is, the Ford Automotive Company. I have to give them so much credit and just so much respect for even willing to take on and tackle a project of trying to revitalize and bring back to life this very Michigan iconic monument. My granddad, who unfortunately is no longer here, but my granddad, when he came down from the South, he was coming up to Detroit to get a job working for Chrysler. And he actually came into Detroit through the Michigan train station. So to actually walk those grounds was just like wow. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. But like I said, growing up, that building sat vacant for a long time, and there has always been so much talk about what was going to happen with the building because it really did become a huge eyesore. It's not too far from the Ambassador Bridge, and the Ambassador Bridge takes you to and from the U.S. and Canada, and you can be on a bridge and you see this building, and it's just like, what are they going to do with this building? Like, are they going to renovate it? Are they going to tear it down and put something else there? I'm not for sure if they actually made it a historical mark, because like I said, I've never seen anything that would allude to that. But over the years, it was just like, what is going to happen with this building? So I just kind of want to give you like a little background on the Michigan Central train station. The architect firms behind New York's famous Grand Central Station were also behind the building of the Michigan Central train station. The train station opened back in December 1913, and it was the gateway to Detroit with more than, I found out, 4,000 passengers a day at its peak. And that was in the 1940s. I'm pretty sure it was more than 4,000 people that came through there, but that was at its peak in the 1940s. The train station was open until January 6, 1988, when Amtrak service was relocated. And there are other parts of the city where you can go and get the Amtrak train. But back in the day, Amtrak used to run through Michigan Central train station. If I'm not mistaken, the building sat vacant from 1988 when it closed to 2018 when the Ford Motor Company actually purchased the building. Now, I can say before I ended up moving to England, I know there was talk of the Detroit Police Board taking over the Michigan train station and pretty much turn it into like the police hub, as like a big huge police hub. But then you heard about it and then you didn't hear about it again. And then at one point, I think they were talking about tearing it down, and that never happened. Then, as I stated a few minutes ago, in 2018, the Ford Motor Company purchased it. Now, as you going through, it's just to walk through the doors is amazing. I know that when it came to actually doing this project, there were architects from all over that came together to help just, you know, spit life back into the halls of this train station. And the one thing that I love is that as you're walking up this remodeled, and I'm so glad that they add this walking path that leads you right to the entrance of the Michigan train station. On the fence, as you're walking up this walk path, there's pictures of the different parts of the train stations that were renovated. And what you can do is you can take your phone, and there's barcodes right next to the pictures, and you take your phone and you scan it, and it pretty much brings up the backstory behind that picture that you're looking at. Like, for example, the main entrance, the very main entrance where you come into the train station, you can actually take your phone, snap that barcode, and it tells you what it took to clean off, to just sandblast the main entrance so that it could look like it did back when the train station was running, back in the 1940s. So I thought that was awesome. They also, to just revitalize that area around the train station, because you can't just, you know, do the train station and not do the area that's around it. The train tracks are still there. It's fenced off, but the train track is still there. But what I like is, if anybody ever intends on going, there's parking that's around more in Corktown, which Corktown surrounds the train station. It heads towards like downtown Detroit, but they actually built this parking structure, and it's called the Bagley Mobility Hub. Okay, let me tell you all about that. Now, when I Googled before I went, it said free parking, right? Okay. So I go down there. I'm excited because I'm about to just go and, view this fantastic um, childhood memory that has been an eyesore for decades. It's not free, y'all. I paid $5. You know what? $5 is worth it. Maybe the $5 is going towards continued restoration um, stuff concerning the train station, right? I just had to put that out there. But when you walk out the Bagley Mobility Hub, I like that they have, like, you can either sit on the inside or you can sit outside looking over at the train station, or the train tracks. But not only that, when you walk out, you can see the Ambassador Bridge. And there's a little walk path that goes behind the parking structure. And it just goes along. I don't know how far it goes because I only went halfway. And I only went halfway because it was starting to get dark. I went pretty late. I got there probably like around 1 o'clock. So I was there for a while, just, and then it was just like I didn't want to go walk too far because I wasn't for sure, like, how safe the whole area was. I'm from Detroit. I'm smart, but I wasn't gonna chance it. I love my city, but I know how my city can get. So I'm just gonna leave that there. So, anyways, not only is there a walk path behind the parking structure, that there's also, like I was saying a few minutes ago, the walking path that goes along the train tracks and goes towards the train station. And it was immaculate. I'm always blown away by stuff, and all I kept saying was, "Wow, wow." There are people now. Ford does have, on the upper floors, there are offices up there where they do have their employees there, and they're walking past me and they're looking at me like, they was like, "Oh, okay, this girl must not be from here." Because I was just so blown away just walking up the walk path, just how beautiful it looked. I couldn't believe it, you know? Because when I like I said, I grew up seeing this building just sit vacant, sit empty. And to see how it looks now, like I said, I have to commend Ford for just taking on this project and bringing this back to life. So once you go in, I felt like when I walked through the doors, I was walking the same path my granddad took when he came to Detroit for the first time through this train station. I wish he could be here to see this, you know? And I was just speechless. I was literally just speechless. And unfortunately, there was a part of the train station because only the lower level, the the ground level was open. And from what I was told, you're only able to really go and view the main level because the other parts of the building, one, you can't take the elevators up because, like I said, I believe Ford has their employees up there because you saw a lot of employees with badges that were coming and going and whatnot. And plus, you had to have a badge to even use the elevator. There's other parts of the building where the lower, like below and like basement level, that is not accessible. Like they were not letting anybody, or they're not letting anybody go down in that area because there was so much water damage, and because this building sat for so long, they didn't want to risk the entire building collapsing. Haven't heard anything else about that, but yeah, so that's just that little tidbit. But when I got there, I liked that they had a little coffee shop as you walk into your left. Um, and I think it's called Yellow Coffee. I believe that's what it was called. And then as you go further, there was a gift shop that was closed. Then you go forward a little bit more, and there was another shop right before you get to like the main area. And those those two places were closed because there was a convention that was going on with the tech people. So they basically said you couldn't take pictures. As you're walking down the hallway, that convention was to the left. They were like, you can't take pictures because there was a tech convention going on. And they were doing some stuff with like cars and everything like that, which I get it because it's like you don't want people taking pictures of what's going on with Ford and then those images get out and then the secret is out. But I just stood there and I was in awe because you can look up at the ceiling, and it was like the beams that showed you the outside, like the sky, was redone. And I hate that I couldn't take a picture of that, but I got to see it. But you can go to the right, and that's where the whole entire building opens up. And that's where you see the beautiful ceiling, the lights that hung from the ceiling that were, to my knowledge, the original ceiling and the original chandeliers, the original door that most people would come into as they were coming into this large area of the train station. It was just beautiful. I, and I was standing there, and I ended up talking to you know, I'm gonna talk to, like I said, I've said previously, I'm gonna talk to somebody. You make eye contact with me, we're gonna have a conversation, and we're gonna have a good conversation. I was talking to this one gentleman, and I believe he was there for construction or something like that because he was there with a group of other men, and they were going in and out of this one door. And I remember somebody saying to him, well, when you're done talking, we're going to be in the back. And no one could go back there but them. So I was talking to him, and I was just saying how amazing everything looks, that I was so surprised at how they were able to just bring back all this architect that, you know, nobody even would have thought could even happen. And he said that, believe it or not, he says the floors, because I remarked how shiny the floors were. He says, yes, this is the original floor that was here for decades. And you could tell there was wear and tear, and that they tried to preserve the floor as much as possible. but it was the actual floor. And you'll be surprised at how certain material can stand up against the harshest of weather. And Michigan has some very harsh weather, especially around January, February. When that cold air comes through, or when that snow comes through, or you can forget it. It's harsh. And there's a photo that shows you what the building looked like in the area where I was standing. There's a photo that shows what it looked like before, and you can look up and see what it looks like now. So I'm pretty sure all those people that came in to help revitalize Michigan train station, they had to be so careful and so meticulous about everything, because you didn't want, one, the building to collapse, because you are talking about a building that sat for a very long time, and you didn't want to mess up any detail, because you want to keep, if you're going to remodel or redo, whether it's a house or a building that's been in a city forever, you want to be extremely careful if you're going to try to bring it back and make it look like it did back in the day. You don't want to destroy anything that could still keep that authentic look of what it looked like previously. And I was just floored. I was like, "Oh yeah, my granddad took when he came to Detroit for the first time, he came through here." And I was like, so all I could do was look up at the ceiling and say, "Papa, I'm standing on the floor that you walked across." And another thing too, just to backtrack, when you come in through the one side that I came into, and you walk down the hallway, you see the original clock that was there in the train station from decades before. So you're looking at this clock that those 4,000 passengers saw when they came in. And the amazing thing is, the clock sits above what would have been the area where you go to get your tickets to get on the train. But the original windows are still there. And the area where that would have been the ticket area or the ticket booths is now a gift shop. I mean, Ford is acting up. It was just awesome. It was amazing just to see this and just to take it all in. And I said, I am so glad I got to see this, because when I was in California and they had the big opening, I was like, oh my gosh, they would have that when I'm like not in the city anymore. And I'm just so excited and I'm so happy. And I'm really happy for that community in a whole, because if you're going to redo the train station and you're going to redo downtown, you have to focus on the areas and the neighborhoods that border these two things, right? And I am so proud of how much Courtown has just revitalized itself. And I think with the revitalization of the Michigan train station, it just put that feeling into the community, and the community is building up. You got Mexican Town that is just, it has built up as well, or it's revitalized. And going towards downtown, that area is coming back. And it makes my heart proud that my city, as much things as that we have been through, my city is coming back. Detroit is a fighter, and it's just, we got our bad, we got our good, just like any other place. No place is perfect. I don't care what nobody say. I love that there's this huge plaque, and it looks gold plated, and it's practically a letter from Bill Ford to people that are coming and they're visiting the Michigan train station. And it's kind of a way of saying, hey, thanks for visiting, this is why we did it, blah blah blah. And it's like his letter, I say love letter, but it's like his letter to just the visitors, like I said, visitors that are coming. And I just want to read it. I know it might feel pretty long, but it actually brought tears to my eyes. And a lady that was standing there with me, she looked at me and she said, I just got teary eyed. And I says, I know, because he literally said what we all have been thinking. So I want to read it really quick and just tell you what it says. It says, Let me see, because I call myself writing it down. So, this letter, I think, sums up what every Michiganer has ever thought about the city of Detroit and its comeback, as well as this train station. It says, "Welcome back to Michigan Central. Michigan Central Station means a great deal to us all. In many ways, this building tells the story of our city. This station was our Ellis Island, a place where dreamers in search of new jobs and new opportunities first set foot in Detroit. But once the last train pulled out, it became a place where hope left. It became a symbol of the city's hard times, a monument to its struggles. In 2018, I decided it was time to change that by reimagining this station as a place of possibility again. Over the past 6 years, Ford Motor Company and a team of forward thinkers, designers, community leaders, and more than 3,000 skilled tradespeople worked tirelessly to bring this important landmark back to life. But restoring Michigan Central is much more than a trip down memory lane. This is a place where we will help create the future and ensure Detroit and the region remain the center of mobility. We will build on the idea that innovation is driven by the intersection of different perspectives and my own belief that a company should not exist unless it is making people's lives better. Detroit is my hometown. My great great grandfather moved here from Cork, Ireland, as many others did, to begin a new life as a farmer and an inventor. Our family's company was born here, and we have seen quite a bit together over the years. Through it all, I have always had complete faith in our people and their determination that Detroit will not cede the future to anyone. This is the spirit of restoring Michigan Central as a bold declaration that Detroit's best days lie ahead. I want to thank Mayor Duggan, Governor Whitmer, and their teams because this would have not been possible without their partnership. I hope you have a wonderful visit today as together we mark the beginning of an amazing journey to help build a better world for our children and grandchildren for generations to come. Bill Ford, June 6, 2024. And I could not have said it better because to bring this childhood history, I'm tearing up a little bit now, but to bring this back to life was the best thing ever because memories were made here, and you can feel those memories as you walk through those doors of the Michigan Central train station. So that is it. That is my episode on my visit to one of the most iconic places in Michigan, I think. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and as I always say, have a great rest of the day. Thank you for listening. Take care, my moonbeams. Bye.